Somewhere along the vast timetable of human existence, our race has been overwhelmed by a curse, that financial sustenance is gained by the sweat of our brow. We have only known this one way to succeed, pursuing our livelihood by our own struggle and striving. And yet the Creator longs to break through the miserable rat race we find ourselves caught up in, and reveal Himself not only as Lord and King, but more importantly, as Father. And as an expression of His deep love relationship with us, financial provision is part of what He longs to pour into our lives. To Abraham, at the most trying moment in his life of obedience, God revealed Himself as Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who will provide.
My name is Sherry Lewis, and I'm the director of the Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry in Cameroon, in West Africa. And I went there directly after being a full-time physician as a family practice doctor. And so it was a huge switch going from full-time doctor to full-time missionary. And I remember telling God, if I'm gonna do this, you're gonna have to reveal yourself to me as Jehovah Jireh. I've always, had a paycheck coming in, had direct deposit. I've always counted on something. And to just count on what seems to be nothing is a little nerve-wracking and scary. So show yourself to me as Jehovah Jireh and we can do this. And I have to admit, for the first part, it was really, really scary, but God kept doing miracle after miracle after miracle. There's so many testimonies. I can't really, I could sit here all night and give testimonies. One of the biggest ones was that I call myself the diva missionary. And so I couldn't imagine sleeping on a hard bed or sitting on hard furniture. And so I was a little spoiled princess, and I wanted to ship my furniture over. And I ended up shipping over almost an entire container full of furniture for minimal money. And it was just a miracle that God worked by connecting me with a missionary that owned a company for shipping. And I gave him a small deposit, and it was time to pay another $10,000. He just said, "Don't worry about it. Thanks for coming to do ministry in my country." And that was a huge miracle. And I think that was at the beginning, just for me, proof that God did want to show Himself to me as Jehovah Jireh. It was very exciting. It really boosted my faith to a new level. There were miracles of provision concerning the building that I lived in, the building that we had the school in, just everything that we needed. It felt like it was falling out of heaven. And then there got to be some scary times where I got to the very bottom of my money. And, there's huge bills to be paid. We have to pay rent on an apartment, rent on the school. I have a staff, so I have to pay salaries. We have to buy groceries. We have to pay transportation. Just the cost of living. And I got down to the last little bit of money, and I looked at God, and I was scared and I was nervous. And I was like, God, you got to do something. And I didn't have any commitment of anything coming in. And this has happened several times. But the first time it happened, I was really, really scared. And within 2 days, I prayed, and within 2 days, I got a call from my mom that a big check had come in that we weren't expecting, that we weren't looking for. And it was just God saying, "Hey, I got you. I'm taking care of you." And so, there have been many times that people will hand me money, they'll hand me a check, I'll get a call from mom saying, "Hey, did you know so-and-so was sending this?" And I was like, "No, but God knew I needed it right now." And so everything that I've needed has been supplied, and it's just been amazing. I have not had one moment of lack in making the jump from full-time physician to full-time missionary. And so it's even gotten to the point where I'm not even afraid anymore. Like when I get to the bottom of the money, I'm just like, okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because I know He's gonna do something amazing. I know He's gonna come through. I know He's gonna provide exactly what's needed. And now I'm getting to a place where we wanna expand the ministry and we wanna do more. And so I'm really excited about the miracles that I'm gonna get to see as we're trusting God to grow even bigger. So I'm really thankful for the revelation of God as Jehovah Jireh. I have a lot of favorite provision testimonies. It's the huge ones, like you can ship your stuff to Africa for almost free. And, here comes a check when your bank account is almost completely empty and you can make payroll and pay the people that are completely dependent on you. But I think even better is where someone just hands me $200 and say, "Hey, take yourself on a trip to the beach." Being a missionary can be difficult, it can be stressful, it can, just being completely out of your element in a foreign country can be stressful. And my daddy, my God, knows how much I love the beach, and he knows how much it calms me and how much it just restores life to me. And so, yeah, it's amazing when I get to ship my stuff for little money, and yeah, it's amazing when that huge check comes in that covers all the bills. But for me, even more amazing is knowing how loved I am and knowing that Daddy knows that I need to go to the beach and I need to relax and I need to see the sunset and I need to have a wonderful time. And it's not just about me doing his work, but it's also about the fact that I have a Father who loves me, that knows that I need to go to the beach. There was a lot of security in going to work every day and knowing that at the end of every month, there was going to be a check deposited in my account. That was security for me. And I never doubted that I would be taken care of. I never doubted that my bills would be paid. I never doubted that my needs would be met because I knew 1 + 1 = 2. Go to work, get a paycheck. And so it's different depending on God, but God has become for me the same security as direct deposit, strangely enough. It's like, you know, I don't know if it's going to come at the end of the month, and it's not necessarily dependent on any number of hours of work, but I work for God, and He is my employer, and He is my provider. And so I am learning, I won't say I've completely got it, but I am learning that trusting on God to meet my needs is just as secure as trusting in a paycheck to be directly deposited into my bank account. And it's been scary, it's been exciting, it's been thrilling, and it's a journey that I hope to continue on. In order for someone to live out of the revelation of God being Jehovah Jireh, I think it takes a few things. I think it takes trust. And that's something I think that's built every time He gives a miracle, every time He comes through, every time there's provision, that trust gets built a little more and a little more. I also think it takes a little bit of desperation. Because if you've got all your needs supplied, when I was a doctor, I didn't need to know Jehovah Jireh. I was making enough money. I didn't need to know that aspect of Him. It just wasn't something that I needed. But when I got to that desperate place of I have no salary, I have no income, I'm living in a foreign country, I have a staff, I need plane tickets. When I was at that place of desperation of I have nothing to depend on but You, God, that's when I started to see Him show up. So I think it takes a lot of trust and a lot of desperation. And then I think it finally takes being able to remember the last miracle. Like, after the first couple of times, I would still get nervous. I would still be fearful. I'd still be like, oh my God, are you gonna come through? Are you gonna come through? And it was like, Jesus was like, do you remember the fishes and the loaves? Like, I've done this for you before. Why are you freaking out? And so now it's just going over the testimony. This happened last time. He took care of me last time. He's done this before. We've been here before, and He's come through every time. Looking back over my entire life, even when I was making a salary, there were times where God did amazing things above and beyond. And so I just go back and recall the miracles and recall the times of provision. And I refuse to forget what He's done, and I keep myself in remembrance of His goodness. And even in the desperate times, I'm like, I know You're good, and I know You've got me.